Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills housing update. So another sort of weird week in terms of numbers. I'm not seeing any concrete trends here. So looking at what happened in Georgetown last week, we only had 7 sales, which is actually a pretty low number for Georgetown. August is historically a very slow month in terms of buyer activity, but only 7 sales is very light for Georgetown. But something notable is we had 17 new listings. That is a very big number in comparison to what we have been seeing the last few weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is the start of things starting to pile on in Georgetown. 17 new listings is a very big week. 7 sales is a very small, light week. So a couple of like 4 or 5 weeks of that and we totally flipped the market. So this is going to be interesting to watch. Our other markets though, this was the first week in a long time that we had sales in every market. So in Acton this week we had 3 sales, which is normal-ish for Acton. There was 3 new listings, so pretty balanced there. Glen Williams had 2 sales, which is a lot for the Glen, and no new listings. Limehouse had 1 sale and no new listings. The rural market saw 2 sales and no new listings. So we have been seeing inventory sort of climbing in those markets, and we had very low new listings this week and very high sales in those markets. So it's kind of like, okay, what's going on here? A couple other things to note. So in all of Halton Hills, we had 15 sales, which is low. Only 4 of them got over asking. So we are definitely seeing a shift in the market. We are not seeing the bidding wars as crazy as we were seeing. 4 of 15 getting over asking is definitely a far cry from where we were a couple of months ago. So another notable thing as I go into active inventory. Last week I was talking about how properties were coming off the market, so it was keeping inventory very low. The same thing happened this week, not as much, but we had 8 properties come completely off the market this week. They did not re-enter. 2 properties terminated and relisted at lower prices, but 8 properties just completely came off the market. So even though we're seeing high levels of new inventory, when we see 8 properties completely come off the market, our inventory is not going to skyrocket. So that's another trend that I'm sort of watching closely. Looking at active inventory, all of Halton Hills is actually down this week from 137 to 136 active listings. So not a dramatic drop, but given the fact that we saw so many new listings, especially in Georgetown, the fact that overall inventory has not spiked is interesting. And it goes back to like, why did all those other markets see sales and like have virtually no new listings? So just something I'm going to try and watch and find a trend around. Right now, this is sort of very new. But looking at Georgetown, so Georgetown this week did spike. They went from 67 to 74 active listings. It's not a huge spike, but again, it's something to note is as we begin to have available inventory, if it does not get purchased, if the buyers just are not there, especially going into September, October, where we see influx of new listings, we are going to start to see our inventory pile on, and we could have the exact same back half of the year as we had last year, which is not good for sellers. Looking at our active price points, under 800,000 is up significantly this week from 5 to 9 active listings. There are actually 4 freehold properties available under 800,000 in Georgetown right now. So that's kind of interesting that there's some lower end stuff available. 800 to $1 million is down from 13 to 11 active listings. This is no surprise. This price point still remains the most active price point. We have tons of buyers still moving in this pocket. It's certainly the busiest. So that's good news if you're a seller in that pocket. Buyers, you still have some, competition there. But as we get higher up in price, so 1 to 1.5 million, jump from 21 up to 26 active listings this week. So we saw a big jump in that pocket, and that pocket is when that starts to get saturated is when we really start to feel a shift in the overall market. So for that to be up to 26 is sort of an interesting trend that I'm going to be watching. 1.5 million plus remain the same this week at 28 active listings. So no spike there. We went up pretty high for a bit in that price point, but we've come down back into the normal but high levels. And I mean, half of those are over $2 million. So there's still a lot of people that are trying to fetch very big dollars for their houses in Georgetown, and just the buyers are not here for it. So now looking at our other markets, Acton is down slightly from 21 to 19 active listings. That's still a pretty high number for Acton. Glen Williams is down from 8 to 7 active listings, normal-ish number for the Glen. Limehouse is down from 3 to 2 active listings, so virtually nothing available in Limehouse. And the rural market did see a dip from 38 down to 34 active listings. So that inventory, I thought it was going to hit 40, but we're down again. So it'll be interesting to see as the weeks go on and as Georgetown's inventory climbs, if we're going to start to see the rural market kind of die off and start to climb as well. If we are going into September with these weeks where we have more listings than sales and our inventory is starting to spike already going into the fall market, this sort of thing happened last year. And by the time we got to October, our market was really saturated and really dead. So I'm going to be looking at this really closely. Right now, I can't see a trend because the other markets are still seeing high sales, but the inventory is not quite picking up there. But Georgetown, which has been seeing sales and not much inventory, is kind of flipping. And when Georgetown starts to pile on with inventory, it sort of impacts the whole market. So I think that my gut is that we are going to have a similar fall market to last year. I do think that the buyers are cooling off a little bit, and I think that we could be in for a bit of a lull. Again, I am not the person anymore that thinks this market is going to like crash. It's just supply and demand. We just don't have enough houses available generally for our buyers. But I do think that buyers go in waves of like, I'm gonna wait and see what happens here, especially with the interest rates. People are very hesitant as we have interest rates climbing to move forward. So we're gonna have to see what happens here. Only time will tell, but like it feels like an interesting shift in August to see our inventory kind of climbing in Georgetown. And so I'll be watching it closely, and I will be back next Tuesday. Have a great week, everyone.